with a very strong C-curved section all the way to behind the ear, then another C-curved section, and then another C-curved section. Basically, we're working parallel to the hairline, which is a C-curved section through here, okay? And then with the front, we've isolated the fringe with another, look, you just look down for us, with another slight C-curved smiley section through in there, because we want to work the fringe shorter and I want it to suit the face shape. This part of the whole haircut is probably the most important part of the whole haircut. Yes, we want everything to be balanced. Yes, we want to approach it technically, but what frames the face is the fringe. It's like having a beautiful image. If you have a beautiful picture and a very ugly frame, it's not going to complement the face shape. It's not going to complement that image. So the frame for the face is this part through in here. So especially with the fringe, we're going to take our time and make sure we cut it at a length that suits Danielle. By the way, before I start, which I'm about to start, if there are any questions, please, 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 give us and ask as many questions as you like. Let's keep this fun, let's keep this interactive, and let's keep this educational. Before I commence, I also want to say, be sure, I want to say two things. Number one, be sure to go on joico.com and enter the sweepstakes. Joico are giving hairdressers $1,000 each week until the end of the year, just to support you during this season. So be sure to do that. And also, when you go to joico.com, go to Pro Education. We have hundreds of videos of education, whether it be cutting, styling, coloring, all for you and all for free. 24/7 education on demand. So be sure to invest in yourself and expose yourself to this incredible education. Should we start? Are you guys ready to start? Give me a thumbs up if you're ready to start. Even though I can't see them, I'm believing you're going to give me some thumbs up. Okay, so I was thinking about where I wanted to start with the haircut. One of the things I love about shorter hair is I'm going to go a lot shorter, but I quite like a little feminine, soft, growing out pieces around the ear and also around the hairline. So I'm going to start from the front, working back, because that's the direction that I want the hair to sit. If I work from the front going forward, that's the way the hair is going to sit. So if you want to ask yourself, where do you want to start? All depends where you want the hair to sit. If you want it to sit going backwards, start from the front. If you want it to sit going forwards, start from the back. So if you want to come around the other side, Denise, are there any questions so far? Okay, so just come to have a look at this. Okay, so I'm going to take a slight diagonal back section here, like that. Be careful of the mask. And then we're going to elevate everything up and out, square to the head, all right? And work point cutting. Point cutting to reduce weight and to reduce length at the same time. Now, because I'm square to the head, I still have length through in here. So when I drop that and I comb that flat, look at that. I've got optional length through in here, and I've got optional length through in here. What does optional length mean? It means I'm giving myself an option to either cut it or to leave it, depending on what I want later. Rather than going too short, too quick, I'm leaving a little bit of length to be able to give myself an option. So continuing, taking diagonal back sections, make sure I grab all the hair. I use the previous as a guideline, and I lift it straight up and straight out. I'm not over directing. Okay, make sure you use the fine end of the comb in this case. All right, I can see my guideline, and then I'm going to carry on working point cutting. Okay, point cutting just gives me a little bit more texture. You can do deep point cutting, you can do shallow. I'm doing shallow point cutting, and that will just give me the texture that I like and cutting it at the length that I desire as well. So I'm going to continue working. Every section I take, you take a little step. So you're always in front of your work, okay? And it's called body position. So body position, finger position is all key to executing a balanced haircut, okay? Going to continue working diagonal back sections. So you can see they're quite steep all the way through. Classic cutting and working a beautiful graduation and eliminating at least 1.5 inches off. So we're going to square up the hair. One thing we felt with the consultation with Daniella's hair was her hair swells, okay? Because she's got wavy hair, she's got a lot of hair, she's got thick hair. It kind of swells. So we want to narrow that down all over, but also create a shape that's going to be easy to maintain and something that looks cool. You know, Danielle's a model, so she's working in front of the camera, she's doing a lot of shows, so she still wants a haircut that's still cool to be able to style, but also something that's easy to maintain. So as we get down to the nape, we just follow the same guide, and by keeping that square, have a look what it's doing. It's giving me a little bit of length to be able to play with later. I can always take that a little bit shorter, but I don't want a square cut here. I like a cut that looks like it's been lived in and grown out, and that's why we're working with the angles, and that's why we're working with the distribution and the elevation that we have so far. Any questions so far? Please ask us some questions. I want to keep this interactive. Even though you're there and I'm here, we're still connected, and that's what it's about. Even though we're socially distancing, we're still connected. So please ask as many questions as you like.
So where are your scissors, combs, and clips from?
My scissors are Mitsutani, one of the best scissors that I've ever worked with. They're Japanese metal, but they're also Japanese handmade. Okay, these are Mitsutani scissors. My comb I got online. I don't remember where. I think it was Amazon. And these clips I also got online. These are cool matte black clips. I just like trying to be kind of color coordinated with everything today. I knew that question was going to be asked. Good question. Thank you for the question. Okay, so constantly working, diagonal back sections. One thing you don't want to do is you do not want to take your sections too big, okay? Once you start taking sections too big, you're not going to have a precise haircut, and you probably won't see the guideline as clear as you're seeing it now. So section should really be no thicker than 1/2 inch, which is probably the width of half your comb. So once you've got clean, small sections, you create more of a precise haircut. And even though it takes a little bit more time doing smaller sections, it will save you time in the long run because you won't be needing to fix it up because it's perfectly executed in terms of balance and guideline. Okay, so working with the same guide, picking everything up straight from the head, okay, making sure you can see your guideline and just executing that shape so it's tapered a little bit more around the nape area. And if you can't see, just take your section all the way down, okay? I use the fine end of my comb. What I do, I move it away and I use my hand. Have a look. So now, it's a lot cleaner, it's a lot easier to pick up the hair. I can just pick up the hair like that and make sure that every little hair is following the same guideline, okay? And that's really what's gonna give us a nice graduation through this back area. Same. If you wanna come around this side, look at that. So we're going to continue working. Actually, it's probably better on this side, so sorry.
It's okay.
I can see the guide here. You can see the guide a lot cleaner because that's the back, this is the front. You can see exactly where my guide is. You can see I'm checking for the guide as well. I'm pulling everything out. Shorter shapes are fantastic, and there's so many techniques that we can apply on shorter haircuts, but it's all about understanding density, understanding texture, understanding head shape, and grasping many techniques, having a lot of techniques in your tool belt. If you do the same thing over and over again, you're going to get bored, and so are your clients. So it's nice to take different sections and approach hair differently. And that for me is always a challenge, because for me, I used to teach every single day in London when I was based in the academy over there, and every single day I would be teaching every day on stage, whether I was feeling good or not feeling good, whether it was a Monday or whether it was a Friday. So what it did, it forced me to challenge myself to expand my approach with hair when it comes to technique. Don't just do the same thing over and over again, because you're going to get bored, and so are your clients. A lot of clients that have come to me that are new, 10% is because geographically they've moved. 90% is because my old hairdresser wouldn't try anything different. I never want to be one of those hairdressers that does the same thing over and over again. Let's challenge ourselves to stay motivated, to stay excited, to stay inspired, and to stay creative. So as much as you're being inspired, you also want to be creative and challenge yourself and expand your horizon and vision of approaching hair with different techniques, because if you want different results, you've got to apply different techniques. Does that make sense? Okay, so last section through the back, diagonal, working over to the corner, making sure we can see the guide, and then we're going to continue repeating the same thing on the other side. So we're working this last section, so we're crossing it over until we get to the other side, making sure our guideline is there, working with the same guideline and picking the hair up, so we're not neglecting any of the hair around the base. So let me just comb this first and have a look from here. So come look at the profile. So now we've got some shape in there. You can see when I move that around, it's following the shape of the head, but it's taking a lot of the bulk that was from the nape area, but we've still got some length to play with a little bit later, okay? Same with the sides, all right? We've still got a lot of length around the perimeter, but we've just worked graduation all the way around. Let's continue with the other side. Okay, we're up. So, just gonna work the hair down on this side. And because we got no guideline here, what I do, if you could just hold that for us, thanks Danielle. What I do, I take one section like that, okay? And I cut the same, try to cut the same length as the other side. So what I'll do, I'll just work point cutting. I'll do two sections here, I'll do one more. And I'll follow the same guideline. Now once I've cut this, you might want to come on this side. Once I've cut this two sections, I comb that flat, all right? And what I do is I check for balance. So I'll grab this side from here and make sure that what we've done is actually on point. And it feels good. I think it's just a little bit longer on the right side, like just a touch. Let's see the bottom as well. Make sure you get this balance right, so it's longer through here. So why is it important? Because if you don't get this balance right and you continue with your haircut, what's going to happen is your whole side's going to be off. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that the haircut is balanced by checking for balance on both sides. It was a little bit shorter on the left side, so I'm just going in a little bit more, making sure that's balanced. Once this is balanced, I can continue cutting the whole side and be confident that there's going to be a balance on the whole haircut. There's nothing worse than cutting the whole side and find out that it's not balanced. So let me just check one more time through the bottom mostly. That feels good, and that feels good. And look away, just feel what's longer. Sometimes when you look at something too long, you lose focus. So just feel what's longer. That feels good. I can continue now and work diagonal section to be confident that it's going to be the same as the other side. Any questions? Are we good with questions?
Where do you, Alfred says, where do you get your inspirations from?
Where do I get my inspiration? My inspiration can come from anywhere, you know. Architecture. I love architecture. I see a lot of the architecture, I see a lot of the window shapes, and some of that can inspire me from creating a technique. I think nature itself, in terms of texture, I'm always constantly switched on and trying to source some inspiration. But mostly, I get inspired by the people that sit in my chair. Looking at their hair, looking at their face shape, that's kind of, for me, I think what inspires me. And a lot of the time, I honestly don't know what I'm going to do in terms of technique until my model or client sits in my chair. A lot of the time when I do education and I'm doing shows in front of thousands of people, sometimes I don't even know what technique I'm going to do until I'm on stage. I feel it in the moment, but most importantly, I get inspired by clients or models. Okay, so come around this side, Denise, so they can see it from here. So I'm going to continue working my diagonal back sections and working that all the way down to the back. So keeping that same length, same guide. You can see I'm cutting a good 1.5 inches off. So it's going to be much shorter than what it was to give us the shape that we have, but also to execute a lot of the bulk that she feels a little bit too long and too heavy. That was one of the things that we discussed in the consultation, was she just feels her hair is way too long and way too heavy. So she was like really encouraging me to go, a lot shorter, but still have enough hair to be able to play with. And I think that's important, especially when you want to create something that's versatile. You want to be able to have a haircut with enough length to be able to move and wear in maybe different ways. Okay, so we're traveling around section by section and following the shape of the head, not just with the C curvature, but also with the way that we're cutting as well. So make sure that we're not missing any little bits. So continue now working diagonal section. So this is the point I want to chat a little bit about. So you notice when I came taking diagonal sections, I went and made sure I went through to the other side. Why? So that now I can pick up a bit of a guideline from the bottom here, from the other side. So let's see if it all matches. So as I pull all the hair out, okay, that's my guideline, if you can see that. That's my guideline from here. So let's work with that. Make sure that the elevation is the same. And as we come down, we should be meeting the other guide, which we have. Have a look at this. Okay, so when I lift that up, you've got the guide from above and you've got the guide from before. And I just connect the two. And that's what keeps you on track all the way down as we get to the bottom. It matches. Okay, pretty cool. So continuing, working another section. Look, again, same thing here. It should match, both sides should match. If I just get rid of that hair there. Working that flat out and point cutting that through all the way until we get to the other side. And that's what gives us a nice balance. And I'm just, point cutting into the shape. Continue working diagonal sections until everything is reached. And then we can check for balance, make sure we're totally happy, and then continue with the haircut. There's a lot of hair still on top that we're yet to cut, but I want just to show you the graduation underneath, because that's what gives you the balance. And now we're going to cross check. Look at that, it's actually really perfect. Can you see that? I'm just going to point cut a little bit because I'm super fussy. Let's check from the bottom as well. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Okay, so what I want to do now is I want to just comb everything flat and just check visually for balance around the perimeter as well. So behind the ear, I want to check. We're still yet to cut that, and I will cut that a little bit later. I want to finish the shape and then cut the perimeter. So all of this length through the perimeter, we're yet going to detail. Just leave it for now. We're just going to leave that for now. Now, she has a lot of hair. I can do two things here. Actually, I might do it now. She's got so much hair that I want to dry this underneath area and just have a look at the shape. I might reduce a little bit of the weight. I might see exactly how it's sitting and then reduce a little bit of weight. So what we're going to add is one of my favorite products, is the Dream Blowout Thermal Protection Cream. This is a nice blow drying agent, and you only need to use a little bit because we're only putting it in the underneath area. Okay, and this will help just to smoothen out the hair. And basically, when hair is clean and dry, it's fluffy, and I don't want it to look so fluffy. So I'm putting this product in. It takes a little bit of the fluff away, but it doesn't make it greasy either. So it's got a nice blow drying agent to put into the hair to give us a little shine and to help keep the memory of the blow dry a lot longer. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to just begin to dry the hair using a brush, not overly forcing it, but we're going to make sure that the hair is dry and a little bit smoother so we can check the shape. Okay, I'm going to blast dry that. Because what happens when you begin to dry the hair, it begins to swell and you can start to see how the hair is reacting. Okay? So we're going to just dry this off. And this is why it's important to take very clean sections, very even sections, because the sectioning pattern is really what's going to set you up for a balanced haircut and a good haircut. So don't underestimate the importance of creating a beautiful sectioning pattern. It's like a designer creating a pattern for a dress or a suit. The more disciplined it is, the better the suit's going to be. Same with a haircut. The more disciplined you are with the execution of the technique, the better the haircut's going to be and the more balance it's going to be as well. Okay, so we're just going to get the brush and just go over it a little bit. Don't want to force it, just going to have a look at what he wants to do. And on the other side, going to come on the other side. Just getting that. So it just is a little bit smoother, but not perfectly smooth. I want to work with it to see what it wants to do. Any questions so far? Make sure you ask me the questions if they have any. I love questions. So guys, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. Alright, so once this is dry, have a look at the perimeter, how beautiful that is. Oh, watch the mask, Richie. That's alright, that's okay. Alright. Let's get out this side one more time. Make sure you're happy with the way the moisture takes away from the hair. Cool. Alright. Let's have a look at that now. So, what I want to do now is come over. Let's have a look at the back. I'm just going to comb that flat. Nice, nice, nice. Again, it's not perfectly blow dried. I just smoothed it out a little bit. So what I want to do is I want to just reduce weight from this top section here. So just going to go in and just point cut. Just to take a little bit of that excess weight so it doesn't bulk up as much. So when she's drying it at home, it's going to be easier. You can see how deep my scissors are and how deep my comb is, allowing my scissors to go in quite deep. It's actually touching the scalp, so I can go in there a lot deeper. Okay, same in front of the ear. It's mostly this top graduation area. Just point cutting that through all the way, and that reduces that excess weight for us. Okay, look, it's just weight. It's just weight. Every little bit of weight you take out just makes it easier for Danielle to be able to maintain at home. And that's what I think makes a great haircut. It's how good and how easy it is to maintain at home that really I think makes or breaks a great haircut. So if you want to know if you've done a good haircut, my question is how easy is it to maintain at home? If it's easy, it's a great haircut. And I think this is why it's important to recommend products as well, because products help us as professionals create the look. So how much more the non-professional is going to need products to maintain their hair at home. So, we never sell products, we recommend products, and we share and educate with our clients what we're using, why we're using it, and how we're using it. Those three questions we should always be answering. What, why, how? What are we using? Why are we using it? How do you use it? That's so important. Sometimes we just recommend products and we forget to teach clients on how to use the product, how much to use of it, etc. So make sure we educate our clients on what it is that you've done in the salon that makes it look so good, and then recommend the same for your client. Not just the products, but also the technique of how you actually style the hair. They love to hear some tips and tricks, so be sure to share that with them as you come to style the hair. Okay, so just looking at everything now, I'm just going to reduce a little bit of weight from below here as well, and just where the occipital bone is. So even though I've got a strong structure, which is important, that is the foundation of the haircut, I'm now chipping into it just to reduce that weight and length. Okay, you can use different techniques. I guess it's personal what techniques you use. But I want to say this, a lot of you see what I'm doing, and some of you might think, oh, wow, that's great. Some of you might think, oh, not sure about that. That's fine. There's different ways of cutting. There's different ways of approaching hair. What's really important is the consultation. Because how do you guys know what I've consulted with my model? How do you know what my model or my client has asked me to do? So if some of you might think, oh, Richard, you're taking too much weight away. No, I'm not. Because guess what? We've had a thorough consultation, and that's what she's wanting me to do. So it's not about right or wrong. It's about understanding different ways of cutting and applying what you like and dismiss what you don't like. And that's what it's always been about. Even for me, when I'm watching different hairdressers, some older, some younger, I will always learn something from them. I'll take what I like and not take what I don't like. And that's what iron sharpens iron is all about. We sharpen each other as an industry, and we learn from each other as an industry. Not everything that everyone does are you going to like. But if you can learn a few techniques, apply it and improve your work, great. That's what education should be all about, improving your work and understanding different ways of cutting and different ways of coloring and styling. The more you learn, the better you become and the more you increase the value of who you are as a hairdresser. Okay, so just making sure that I'm happy with that. I'm going to slide cut here. Just if you come around this side for me. So with here, you can do some channel cutting here, just to break that up, because we want that to be more natural through the perimeter. And I can do that more later, but I just want to do a little bit now while I can. Okay, have a look at this. When I comb all this, all that hair just comes out. And it just softens it for me. In the middle as well. Come around the other side. Have a look at my hand. Now I switch my hand. I go around now this way, so I'm going with the hair. And around here, I'll just take some of that off. And then maybe just take some aggressive pieces out so it looks more natural. Now, see the hair on the neck here? Come and look. I never use a razor. I always use the scissors. Flat on the skin, and I cut that off. And this gives us a much more natural finish. So keep the scissors flat and eliminate the hair by working flat on the skin. That way it's not going to be all spiky and stubbly like a beard. It's not attractive, I think, for women to have that. So just by using the scissors, makes it so much more natural. So when I comb that now, maybe a little bit more there. Stretch the skin, make sure there's no freckles, and just eliminate that. If you want to practice this, some of you might be scared to do that, that's fine. A good way to practice is this. Look at me. Use your hand, put the scissors flat, and cut. As long as the skin is stretched and the scissors are flat, you're not going to cut yourself. It's a good way to practice. And also another tip for you as well is to just make sure there's no little moles on the nape, because you don't want to be a plastic surgeon. You just want to eliminate the hair, not the freckles or the moles that people might have. Okay, just working that all the way so it's nice and natural. So much more natural than just using a razor or clippers. I don't really use clippers. And again, that's not a right or wrong thing, guys. It's a personal thing. What you do, what I do is different. Great, let's embrace the difference. But I'll give you what I do and why I do it, and then you, as a hairdresser, incorporate the techniques that you feel that are best for you and your clients. So it's not about dictation in terms of education. It's more about, sharing different techniques and you applying what you like and don't apply what you don't like. And that's what exchanging ideas and education should really always be about. It should never be dictatorial about what's right or what's wrong. And I'm trying to do, different texture, different length every time I'm up here, so you can see a real variety of work rather than just one length all the time. So, this week we're doing something a lot shorter. It's going to look cute, something that's going to be versatile and very salon friendly. The next time we're going to do is going to be more textured hair. So we're showing as much variety as possible. 2 weeks ago when I was here last, I did curly hair. So it's all about, exchanging ideas, and working with different lengths and showing you different techniques as well. Okay, so let's continue now with the rest of the shape. Okay, especially behind the ears, I took a little bit of weight away because if they ever tuck it behind the ears, it's not going to be bulky. Later we can continue with that. I might go a little bit shorter here, but I want to wait till I finish the shape. Okay, so the top part of the haircut, as you can see, is just twisted. I'm going to just begin to work the back first. I want to connect the back first, and then I'm going to work with the sides. So let's subdivide this section into two. All right. I'm just going to put that in a twisted section here. Just keep your work as clean as possible. Clean sections are happy sections, and it keeps you on track with what it is that you're doing. Okay, so I can comb all this flat. You can see how long and bulky that is in comparison to the underneath. So before I carry on, let's put a little bit more water in there. Okay. And then carry on now with the connection of the haircut. So what I want to do, if you want to come on this side for me, Okay, I'm going to take a section in the center and I want to begin to connect this area. So we pick up the hair from underneath. You could see that. Let me just comb that out. All right, can you see my guide there? And I'm going to continue working out. So it's still in the same decreased length. So the angle is coming slightly out. So you're building shape. You're building a shape in here. All right? So it's not going to be like a flat head. It's going to follow the shape of the head because the shape of the head is round. So by increasing from short to long gives me a nice shape that's going to follow the shape of the head. And it's all about shape, guys. It's not just about technique. And it's not just about cutting hair. It's about building a shape, creating shape, even with shorter hair. So when you have that in mind, it kind of impacts and influences a lot of the angles of your fingers. So we're going to be point cutting through all the way around. And you know what? Some of you would like to maybe do a hands-on class. We're going to be doing Zoom hands-on classes a lot in 2021. So make sure you reach out to me and we can schedule you guys in for some Zoom classes that I believe makes the biggest difference. It's one thing to watch haircut. It's another thing to do a hands-on and actually apply it. And you grow a lot from that. So just following through, because you're working with finger position, body position, elevation, distribution. There's a lot of things that you kind of learn when you actually do it, when you have a little hands-on education class. Okay, connecting this section here. And that side now is all connected beautifully. Okay, can you see? Only when you shake that will you see that it's connecting all nicely. So let me just do the other side, come around here. So working diagonal sections going this way. My finger position now has changed. Over here, my finger was up. As I'm going now, I stand on this side and my finger position now is facing downwards. And I'm standing all the way on this side. So just going to continue working there. And that helps me to have the right body posture, body position, finger position to continue with the graduation. Okay? And it's more comfortable as well. Sometimes when you're learning a new technique or a new finger position, of course you're going to feel uncomfortable. Uncomfortable is not a bad thing. It's actually a good thing, especially when it's uncomfortable to learn something good and new. If you're always comfortable doing the same thing over and over again, I'm afraid to say you're not actually growing. It's only in the uncomfort zone when you learn something new and you apply a new technique and you start feeling a bit uncomfortable, that's when you're growing. So don't be afraid to be challenged from a technical point of view. And again, apply what you like and don't apply what you don't like. But as long as you're learning and you're growing, that's what it's about. That's what it's about. I think that's what keeps us motivated as hairdressers is growth. Constantly learning, constantly growing. And that's why we provide education each week to support hairdressers to grow and learn and become better at what we do. Increasing the value of who we are as hairdressers is what it's about. And how you do that? By learning more techniques and becoming better, investing in your craft, investing in your techniques, in your art. Education is vital. So never lose that sense of passion, never lose that sense of hunger to learn and to grow. Even for me, I'm constantly learning, constantly growing, constantly challenging myself to be better in different areas of hairdressing. Okay, so just making sure that was balanced. I'm going to, again, check technically with my fingers. That's much better. That's much better. Check the top layers. That's great. And now we cross-check. Okay, and it's perfectly round. So it's going to take a little bit off there. Okay, cool. I'm loving this. I'm loving this. All right, so this top section here, we're going to work with a center parting. So we're going to work backwards. Center parting here to subdivide the two. So we've got a section on this side and a section on this side. She's got a lot of hair on top. This is the problem that she felt was way too heavy and way too long and not manageable. She wants something to be easy to manage. So just going to turn this flat, put a little bit of moisture in again. All right, so if you want to come around this side, come around this side. So what we're going to do, we're going to take, you keep your head still please, that's okay. We're going to take slight diagonal sections and carry on working with the same guideline as the back. So if you want to come around this side, actually, you'll see it much better. So working this with the same guide, okay? You see that there? Again, we're building shape. We don't want to go too square, otherwise we won't suit her face shape. So make sure we got those little hairs at the top. Okay, next section, diagonal. Look at all that hair. That's about 2 inches. That's a lot of hair, especially through the sides. So by working this and connecting it through classically, it's going to connect that through and really help us to sit, to allow the top layers to sit nicely. Okay. Next section. Everything is elevated straight up, straight out. Any questions? Let's keep it. If you can't, okay, you can't see it, you can't see it. For whatever reason, guys, we can't see any comments. But we're still live, which is great. So I'm afraid we can't see questions anymore. Okay, what if you press that? Let me see. No? Okay. So look at me. For whatever reason, guys, we can't see anyone writing anything. So I believe we're still live, so I'm going to continue cutting. And I'm sorry, I can't hear any questions. So that means I'm just going to continue with the haircut. So for whatever reason, there's been a glitch with the Facebook connection. But as long as we're live, that's the main thing. So thank you. Okay, just connecting that through. You can see, look, it's connecting from the front to the back. Can you see that? 2 guides are connecting. That's when you know you're on point. Okay. Again, don't judge the haircut now. You can just see the way that's going to sit. When that's dry, you'll see how, and once we cut the top layers, what we're doing is we're building shape here. We're not making it too square. We're building shape. You'll see why when it's dry. Come around the other side. If you want to go all the way around to this side. Okay, so doing the same thing, diagonal sections. My fingers are facing down, right? I'm connecting from the underneath to the top that we have here. Okay, keeping my fingers parallel, and you can see how I'm building the shape. Okay, working it on a decreased angle. Sorry. You okay?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so continue. Making sure I'm in front of my work and cutting the hair. Be confident with your guideline. You know, I could be cutting 10 inches off, doesn't matter. Be confident with your guideline. As long as you're confident with your guideline, you should have no issues at all. Obviously, first you want to learn the technique, but you know, some people kind of get scared when they're cutting someone's hair from very long to short. Don't be scared. Just be confident with your guideline so that you can follow through and make sure that the haircut is going to turn out the way you intend for it to turn out. How? By following the guideline and creating a very strong technique that's going to give you the shape. Like I said in the beginning, Danielle, my model, doesn't really care about what technique I use. All she cares about is the end result. Okay, so before I carry on anymore, I want to just comb this. I want to check for balance on both sides. Cool, that's very balanced. Okay, I'm going to take now a profile. Lean back to me. I'm going to take a profile section and begin to layer this top area all the way around. So, from the crown, we use that as a guide, you can see there. I'm going to point cut now through the top because I want more texture. Okay? And working on that. Now I'm going to comb that guideline on one side and just work sections that are slightly rounded. Now I can go deeper with my point cutting because I want to reduce weight and length at the same time. And when the hair is wet, it sticks together, so it allows you to be more aggressive with the weight reduction. And I've isolated the fringe so we can disconnect it and do exactly what's best for the face. Last section on this side. You can see that. Point cut through. Cool. Now I move my guideline to the other side. Come around this way. I'll lift everything up. There it is. And then I can go in a little bit deeper by holding my fingers and aggressively point cutting back through. It's so fun to cut hair. I think cutting education is so fun because that's what we mostly do in the salon. We either cut or color. And so it's good to be exposed to different ways of cutting so that you can incorporate different techniques that you like. And then be able to share that with your clients as well. Okay, deep point cutting. And then last section here, I'm going to lift that right back, have a look at that and point cut through. Now, we want to cross check the top, make sure both sides are even, which they are. And for the back here as well, we're going to do the same thing. Make sure I'm happy with both sides and point cut to balance out the texture. All right, nice, nice, nice. Last section. The flange, fliquillo, the choker, the bang, the fringe. Let's have a look. Okay. First thing what I do want to do is I want to layer it first. I'm gonna change the angle, but I'm going to use the guideline from the back. Okay, so this is why we disconnected it, so I can use a different angle. I'm going to work it around it to the head. Okay, let's have a look at that visually. Cute. Alright, I'm going to continue everything straight up, and follow the same guideline. I'm not over-directing, just working vertical sections at 90. Whatever reaches, great. Whatever doesn't reach, I don't touch. So lifting it up, 90. See if I don't think anything else reaches, but we can try just to be safe. No, cool. Let's do this side. Let's see the guideline. Make sure you point cut that through. And this side, just that little bit there. And none of that will reach. Okay, let's have a look at something now. Let me clean my face up because you have okay, you know what I'm going to do now? Just have a look at the fringe one more time. Look up. Look up a little bit. That's will clean up for you. Let me just grab a little bit of that and just point cut that through. So I want a shorter fringe. She's got such a cute face that I think a shorter fringe is going to so suit her. Cool, let's do the other side. It's visual. It's all about being visual with the fringe. Of course, we're being technical in terms of the approach, but it's about making sure that what we're working is really working on the head. Being visually. So even though you're being technical, you're constantly looking at her face, the way the hair is sitting, making sure that what you're creating is just super cute on her. Shame you can't hear what people are saying.
I know.
Come around this side.
Here.
Cool. Okay, I'm going to start to dry this off. Before I do that, I'm just going to give you a towel if you want, just to wipe your face. And I'm going to get some. If you want to come look at me for a second. So I'm going to put a little bit more of the Dream Blowout. Okay, this is going to help me to get a little bit more texture into the hair. So we're just going to put 1, 2, and a half. Okay, we're going to work that through. All the way around. Already you can see how cute that fringe looks. And she's still got a lot of hair left to play with. And I'm going to also put a little bit of the, where's the towel? Thank you. How long have we got left? We've got 12 minutes left. A little bit of the whip. A little bit of the joy whip as well, just to get a little bit of texture. Not too much, just a little bit to get a bit of texture in her hair. She's got a lot of hair, so I don't need it to feel too thick. Alright. Cool. Super cute, that fringe, I think. What do you think, Denise? Do you think that fringe is cool?
I love it, yeah.
Alright, so now what we're going to do is begin to dry the hair. Completely blast dry and moisture out first. You can use a razor as well. I was contemplating whether I should use a razor or not. You could totally use a razor for this exact same technique. Okay. I'm just blast drying everything flat forward, and then I'm going to work in terms of reducing weight on the shape. I just want to get that as flat as possible. Once we've got that moisture out, we can then work with the hair and create more texture by reducing weight. I wanted to smooth it out a little bit first. Cute, right? The fringe. It has that cool, like, Linda and Mr. 90s feel to it, I think. I did something shorter a few weeks ago, completely different in terms of technique and the kind of hair that we're working with. Also going a lot shorter with the fringe here. So I just want to get a lot of that moisture stretched out first. Get the hair stretched out, get the moisture out, and then we can go in and blow dry a little bit better. Just want to get that flat first. Okay, now what we're going to do is just use the brush and just begin to take sections and we'll smoothen each section out. So it gives me a lot more smoothness internally rather than just on the surface. The good thing is we've low dried all the way underneath, so it's just the top that we're kind of mostly focusing on. Hold on. Take it to the other side, so I'm going to go over here. Look down here. There we go. Hold on for a few seconds. I'll come up now. Use a smaller brush where the hair is a bit shorter, just to get in there a bit more. And through the back of the clothes like that is there. You've got so much hair, and I'm yet to reduce a lot of that weight as well. So I'll do as much as I can with the time that we have, but then the rest of it I might have to do off camera because of time. How long is it? How long we got?
352.
350?
52.
52. We got 8 more. I'll try to do a little bit of weight reduction so people can see what it is that I should be doing. So I'm going to blast most of that moisture out. You can see that a lot of the steam taken up. Okay, so once we've done that, we'll make sure it's dry just here. Just work around the mask when you can. Alright. So, I want to reduce the definite. I want to reduce a bit of the weight. So let me show you how we're going to do that. And then later I can finish it off and take pictures so everybody can see the end result. Okay. So, just going to comb everything flat. I think the best way to judge a haircut is to comb it flat. Okay? Best way. Later we're going to put texture in it. Of course we are. But for now I just want to judge the haircut by combing everything nice and flat. That's the best way to judge the weight. That's the best way to judge the shape. So don't bother going like that. I would say, oh, it's too heavy. No, comb it flat. Then you can see what's needed to be done. Okay. So I'm going to detail the fringe. Come around, grab the front first. Look up. I'm going to grab you this so we can get rid of that. You can hold that. Okay. Look up. So combing that flat. So important. Using the wide end of the comb. Okay. Now we just want to make sure that we have the detail. I want to first get the length, and then I can chip away at it so it's not so solid. But before I do that, I just want to make sure I'm happy with the length on both sides. Okay, look at me. Cool. Now, if you find it's a little bit heavy, go in, take some pieces out. Okay, and that just breaks it up a little bit for you. Okay, this is personalizing. It's personal. What you do, what I do, might be different. That's fine. That's what makes us different as hairdressers. Embrace the difference. All right, and then we're going to just do a little bit of channel. Aggressively. I want it almost to look like you've been cutting it yourself. So you don't want to get too perfect with it all. Okay, you just get the hair dry. Hold your mask for a second. Hold it. Okay, so just going to have a look at the fringe. So it's a bit more like, it's cuter. It's softer, it's cuter. Once you put a little bit of products in there, you can also address it a little bit more. And you can go a little bit more aggressive if you want. Okay, and that just gives you a little bit more of a softer feel. Same with here. Hold your mask one more time for me. Isn't that so cute, the fringe? So I've reduced bulk as well off. Now, come around the sides. So what I want to do here, I actually want to use my thinning shears, just to show you a different way of using thinning shears. Okay, going to open and close, and just point cut all through the edge here. Okay, and that should, look at that, blend in beautifully. So you can continue with this. I'm going to maximize the time. Okay, so I'm going to continue, guys, working the point cutting with the thinning shears all the way around. You can see how that's done. And then we're going to begin to personalize it through the bottom and finish it off. But guys, thank you. I hope you guys have enjoyed today's education. I wanted to show you something that's a little bit shorter, something that's a little bit cuter, something that can be worn in different ways. So the technique that we've done with the C-curved sections and the graduations allowed us to build this shape. I'm going to continue reducing a lot of weight through the sides and the back and work through the perimeter. I hope you've enjoyed today. Have a fantastic Tuesday, have a fantastic week, and never lose that sense of expectancy that good things are going to happen to you. God bless, guys. Peace. See you guys in the near future. Ciao. Say bye, Daniel.